Hello everyone, how are you all? Welcome back, and now today we are going to learn Chhattisgarh under the Maratha rule. Now I think you should be aware that I here at Purvanchal IAS is teaching you full CGPSC. We are providing you full complete course on CGPSC with Chhattisgarh special, and I am the one who is taking the classes for Chhattisgarh. And under this today we are going to cover one of the part of history. See, apart from CGPSC we also have other courses like UPSC, UPPSC, MPPSC and courses of NCERT books also are available. Other courses such as Internal Security and International, which belongs to the mains of UPSC, Social Issues, Social Justice, Pre-Com mains, and so many like Ethics also. We have History, Art and Culture, Pre-Coms mains. So lots of courses are available for you in both Hindi as well as English medium. You just have to go to Google Play Store and download this Purvanchal IAS app. Now come to the Maratha dominance. See, what happened is that during somewhere 1741, Chhattisgarh came under the Maratha rule. Now how did this happen? That we are supposed to see. A little later I will tell you how did this happen, but during this 1741 it is called as indirect Maratha rule because it wasn't a direct ruler from Maratha who was ruling here in the Chhattisgarh state. So it was an indirect Maratha rule. Then started the direct rule of Maratha. After this happened the Suba rule, basically the Suba system. A Subedar was appointed. After Subedar, it happened that Maratha ruled under British protection because Third Anglo-Maratha War took place and Marathas were defeated and so on. Britishers came here. Then there was a re-rule of Maratha under some treaty that we will be discussing. And then after this 1854, actually Chhattisgarh came on directly under these Britishers. So let's see now how did this Maratha dominance started. Okay, I say that Maratha begins in Chhattisgarh, but then how? This rule began how? See, when I was teaching you Kalchuri, the Ratanpur branch of Kalchuri, this is a regional dynasty of Chhattisgarh. So when we were studying this Kalchuri dynasty, I told you that there was a ruler, Raghunath Singh. When he came to the throne, he was 60 years old, okay, and he was quite weak at this time also. So he was 60 years old, and during 1741, what happened? There was a ruler, Raghuji, who had a commander-in-chief, Bhaskar Pant. Bhosle ruler was there, Maratha ruler, and his commander of chief Bhaskar Pant actually attacked Kalchuri during this time of 1741. So at this time Raghunath was undergoing the grief of death of his only son, and he was not at all in a condition of fighting or doing a battle. So under this grief what he did was that he accepted the dominance of Maratha. He surrendered in front of Bhaskar Pant, and this way he accepted the Maratha supremacy, and this is how the Maratha rule indirectly began in Chhattisgarh. Why am I saying indirectly? Because once Raghunath Singh accepted the Maratha supremacy, Bhaskar Pant went back and he gave the permission to the Kalchuri rulers to rule, but just as a representative of Maratha. And then after the death of Raghunath Singh, Mohan Singh ruled as a Kalchuri ruler, but just as the Maratha representative. He wasn't an independent king, he was just a representative of Maratha because they have accepted the Maratha supremacy. And after the death of Mohan Singh started the Bhosle rule. And in this Bhosle rule, we will see that it is the direct dominance of Maratha rule or direct Maratha rule in Chhattisgarh. Why do I say direct? Because the ruler Bimbaji Bhosle, the first Maratha ruler to come here, he came directly to Ratanpur and he started staying there. It was not like that he is staying somewhere in Maharashtra and ruling the area of Chhattisgarh. No, he did not did like that. He came to Ratanpur and he made Ratanpur as his capital and he started living there, and that is why it is the direct rule, because he came here and directly started ruling. He did a lot of things, like he established a regular court in Ratanpur for the unbiased justice. He made a temple built at Ram Tekri Hill in Ratanpur, which is still very, very famous. The Ram Tekri Mandir, the Ram Tekri temple of Ratanpur, very, very famous. He unified the administrative system of Raipur and Ratanpur. See what happened, that Kalchuri had two branches. The Kalchuris were of Ratanpur and one of the branch was in Raipur. So the administration of both these places was different at the time. And Bimbaji Bhosle made the system a unified one and called it a Chhattisgarh state. And he also made two new zamindaris. One was Rajnandgaon and second was Khuji. Okay. One more temple he got built, that was Lord Ramchandra temple, and that is in Raipur on the bank of Budha Pond. It is still known as Budha Talab, and there is temple of Lord Ramchand which was built by Bimbaji Bhosle. In Raipur we have Dudadhari monastery, that is Dudadhari Mutt. It was also made by Bimbaji Bhosle, and he started the tradition of exchanging the leaves of shami tree known as Son Patra or Son leaves on Vijayadashmi, that is Dashera. You might have heard the name of shami tree. Shami is a plant, and its leaves are also being exchanged during the Shivratri and all. So he started the practice of exchanging these leaves during the Vijayadashmi. Now this Bimbaji Bhosle had 3 wives. You can see he had 3 wives. So when he died in 1787, his wife Umabai sacrificed herself being a sati. There is no much information about Ramabai. But then this wife Anandibai actually took over the control of ruling. Okay. Now I have to remind you one thing, that when I was basically teaching you Kakatiya dynasty, I told you that Kakatiya ruler Darya Dev had made a treaty which was known as Treaty of Kotpad, because there was a succession battle between this Darya Dev and Ajmer Singh, and at that time only Halba revolt also took place. So he made a Treaty of Kotpad according to which this Bastar region came under the dominance of Maratha, right? 1778, in the year 1778, and this particular treaty was made with Bimbaji Bhosle. So please remember that this was Bimbaji Bhosle, the first Maratha ruler with whom Darya Dev made this treaty. And then after his death, Anandibai started ruling. But then what happened? When Anandibai started ruling, but then there was another ruler that came, that was Vyonkoji Bhosle. He started ruling, but then basically what he did, that he was more involved in the power struggle of Nagpur throne, because obviously they were in Maharashtra and there were a lot of power struggles going on at that time. So his focus was more on that power struggle, and he wasn't able to concentrate more on Chhattisgarh. So what he did was he started Suba system, Subedari system. That means he thought to appoint one of the person who will be acting as a Subedar. So he himself will not be ruling the area of Chhattisgarh, rather he will appoint a Subedar, and that Subedar will come here and rule in Chhattisgarh. So who started it? It was him who started. But please remember that since he was not able to rule the area properly because of being indulged in several struggle of power, it was Anandibai, the wife of Bimbaji Bhosle, who was actually ruling. But then Chhattisgarh was called the Jagir of Vyonkoji in Maratha history. Remember this. And then started the Suba rule. Like I told you, it is started by Vyonkoji Bhosle, and this was for running the system conveniently, because it was not possible for him to concentrate and to indulge himself here also and power struggle there also. So he started this Subedari system. Okay. Now consider the Chhattisgarh that time was considered as a Suba under Nagpur estate. Like I told you, these persons were ruling from the Nagpur estate. So Chhattisgarh came under that. So Subedar was the head of this Suba, and Ratanpur was made his headquarter. We know that Kalchuri had Ratanpur as their headquarter, and then Bimbaji Bhosle also made Ratanpur as their capital. So this particular continued. Now this Subedar was the person who collected the highest amount of tax. Okay. And they then used to send it to the Nagpur. So basically Subedar was the total in charge of this particular area wherever he or she was appointed. And then this Suba rule was based on a contract system. Please remember that it wasn't any kind of permanent or hereditary, nothing like that. Any person would have be appointed as a Subedar for a certain period of time on a contract basis, and then they used to come to the place on which they were appointed. So now starts the Subedars of Chhattisgarh. Let's take a look of who were these Subedars who were appointed in Chhattisgarh. The first one was Mahipat Rao Dinkar. You please people remember the sequence and the names of Subedars, because a lot of times it has been asked that what is the sequence of these Subedars and who were the Subedars during the time in Chhattisgarh and who were not the Subedars, who was the first Subedar, who was the last Subedar, and so on. So you have to remember that the first Subedar was Mahipat Rao Dinkar, and this was his period of rule. During his period, an European visitor travelled here in Chhattisgarh. The name was Forester. A lot of time it is being asked that when did the European traveller Forester visited India, during whose reign. So it was the time of this Subedar Mahipat Rao Dinkar. This second Subedar is very, very important because he did a lot of things for Chhattisgarh. He was the second Subedar and he started Pargana system of revenue administration. So basically he is called as the proponent of Pargana system in Chhattisgarh, which were ruled. So the entire Chhattisgarh was divided into Parganas. Okay. The head of the Pargana was this Kamavindar. Okay. The post of Diwan and Dao, which earlier existed during the time of Kalchuri, I taught you that in Kalchuri it was Diwan and Dao, but then during the time of Vitthal Dinkar, these posts were ended and on the place of this, the head of the Pargana replaced them. Okay. And Gautia and all their posts remained the same. There was no changes into this time. Now during Vitthal Rao Dinkar also, one of the foreign traveler, European traveler visited, that was Captain Blunt. Okay, Captain Blunt. If you aren't able to see this Blunt, it is Captain Blunt who visited Chhattisgarh during the time of Vitthal Dinkar. But he ruled for a very short period, so he does not have many achievements to look at. Then was Keshav Govind. It is said that he was very efficient ruler and he was the one who had been appointed for the longest period. So the Subedar for the longest period and oldest in age is the one Keshav Govind. So when he was appointed at that time also, his age was really high and he was there for a longer period of time. And during his time, the activities of Pindaris started. And Kulbruk, a European traveler, Kulbruk visited Chhattisgarh. This is visited. Then came Vyokeji and Diru Kulkar during this 1 year span only, and they were very Subedar for very short periods and there are no really achievements to look at for. Same is the case with Bhavani Kalu. Bhavani Kalu and these two, we do not find any achievements of theirs, so there is nothing to discuss about them. Then came Bikaji Gopal. Now his period is considered to be significant in the history of Chhattisgarh. Why? Because a lot of things took place during his time. There was turbulence because of the Pindaris in Chhattisgarh. There was death of this Vyonkeji Bhosle who started this Subedari system. There was death of Raghuji I, whose commander-in-chief was Bhaskar Pant. So there was unrest in the Maratha Confederacy as well. Okay, and during his period, this Bikaji Gopal period, a treaty was made between Maratha Appa Sahib and the Britisher, and this Appa Sahib was appointed as a representative of Chhattisgarh. Okay. Then Sakharam Hari, the only Subedar of Chhattisgarh who was shot dead by unsatisfied farmer. Due to some reasons, farmers were unsatisfied. See, when the Marathas started ruling, their policies became very exploitative and the farmers were under huge distress and burden, and same was the case with tribal, and that got accumulated. So some of the dissatisfied and unsatisfied farmers were there, some of them, and they shot dead this Sakharam Hari. So he was the only Subedar who got killed by farmers. Then there was this Sitaram Tantia. He was for very short period. Again, no much achievement known. Then was Yadav Rao Dinkar. He is the last and the youngest Subedar. Okay. Last and the youngest Subedar, and after him Maratha rule came under the British protection. From here starts the British protection. I told you there was a subsidiary treaty signed between Appa Sahib and the British. See, actually what was going on was, at this time there was this third Anglo-Maratha war going on. I think you know, it is in the history of India that they had 4 Anglo-Maratha wars and 3 Anglo-Maratha wars, 4 were Masoor wars, 3 Anglo-Maratha wars, and this was the third war going on. And there was a battle that took place in the battle of Sitabardi. Sitabardi is a place at Nagpur where Appa Sahib Bhosle was defeated. Actually, in third Anglo-Maratha war, Maratha was defeated. And likewise, these the areas of Maratha came under the British. Bhosle region of Nagpur then was subdivided into 5 in the perspective of administrative convenience. And Jenkins was the person who was appointed as first British resident of Nagpur during the protection period of this Britishers. And once the British started ruling here, basically it was a Maratha under British protectionist, not the direct British rule, but yet Britishers appointed superintendents for the region of Chhattisgarh. Captain Edmund was the first superintendent, and he was more, focused on establishing law and order in Chhattisgarh. During his time, a revolt of Zamindar from the place called Dongargarh took place. Important is this Captain Agnew because he shifted his capital from Ratanpur to Raipur. So it was during his time when Raipur became the capital. We all know that during the Kalchuris also Ratanpur was the capital, and when Bimbaji Bhosle came, he also made Ratanpur his capital. So during the time of Captain Agnew, this Ratanpur was shifted to Raipur. Basically the capital from Ratanpur was shifted to Raipur, and Raipur was made the new capital. The Parganas which were earlier made, the Pargana system which was started. So now the number of Parganas were reduced from 27 to 8, and then in 1820 one more new Pargana was added. Balod was the new one, and finally the number of Parganas became 9. Now in the Parganas, Raipur was the biggest, and there was a Pargana Rajro which was the smallest Pargana. And he also made a lot of changes in the revenue administration economic system also. He suppressed the rebel of Gond ruler Dhamda. From the ruler of Dhamda, there was a revolt that happened. So, a rebel that happened, and Captain Agnew suppressed that rebel. And during his period, there was a Captain Messon which suppressed the rebel of Ramarai, who was the Zamindar of Sona Khan. So, Sona Khan revolt also we'll study, and their name again we will see. Paralkot revolt also took place during the time of Captain Agnew, who was under the leadership of Gain Singh. This also we will see when we will see the tribal revolts. About Captain Hunter, basically to talk about. Then came Mr. Sandys. See, he was previously an army officer in the army of Nagpur, and then he came here and he did a lot of changes, like he executed English calendar in Chhattisgarh. And then he also started a system of revenue called as Tahutdari system. The head was Talukdar. And basically this system was for focusing on agriculture thing, because as per this system, he wanted to convert the barren and the abundant land into the fertile land for agriculture. So he wanted to improve the agricultural condition of the state. He made 2 Tahutdaris. One was Lormi and then another one is Tarenga. Okay. He made English as the language of working for the government official. He also started and developed this postage and telegram system, so this becomes important. See, during his period of rule, Mr. Sandys' time, the Zamindar of Kanker visited Raipur, and there was some issue ongoing between Zamindar of Bastar and Zamindar of Kanker, and Mr. Sandys brought a compromise between between the Zamindar of Bastar and Kanker. So it is considered as a very important achievement. Then came Mr. Wilkinson, but he came for a very short period of time, and there is no important achievement to look at. Now this last superintendent, Mr. Crawford, is important because during his time a treaty was made between English and Bhosle ruler. I told you in the beginning that when during the third Anglo-Maratha war, when Marathas were defeated by the English, at that time this Raghujit III was the person who could have taken the Bhosle throne, but he was infant. But by this time he became younger, and then he was ready to take up the rule, and that is why a treaty was signed between the two, between English and Maratha. And during this treaty, as per this treaty, the English gave Raghujit III or handed over Raghujit III the area of Nagpur and its ancillary territory, and likewise they appointed Krishna Rao Appa, a new Jiledar by the Bhosle ruler. So you can understand they started after Subedari, they have started in the beginning, then they started this Jiledari also, that a person known as Jiledar was appointed to rule over a particular area. See, so now this is called as re-rule of Maratha, because after this treaty, Maratha got the permission to rule again, and there was Raghujit III who started ruling as a Bhosle ruler, and he appointed Jiladar for Chhattisgarh. In total, I think somewhere around 8 Jiladars were appointed, out of which Krishna Rao Appa was the first and Gopal Rao was the last. And during the period of this Raghujit III, a lot of things actually took place. During this time period, a lot of things took place, such as the rebel from Gond Zamindar Dhamda, ban on Sati system. There was a rebel from Zamindar of Bargarh in Orissa, rebel of Tarapur, Media revolt, and the Tahutdaris of Sirpur and Lavan were made during his rule. Now understand that these revolts I will be teaching you separately because there are revolts to cover. So we will be dealing with tribal revolts, then peasants revolts separately. So this was basically about Maratha rule. Now let us try to understand. Okay, so let us just now see that what was the administration of Maratha like. See, these are the names of the persons given who used to handle as the officers. Like head of the Pargana was Kama Vinsdar, there was a Fadnavis who was the accountant, Potadar was the treasurer. So you will have to remember all of this because a lot of times it is being asked. Okay, there was agriculture revenue department also. The Patel was the one who used to collect the land revenue. Gotia was the head of the village. We had Kotwal like security guard. Revenue workers were Pandya temporaries. Mal Chaprasi was also there who assisted in the revenue works and so on. Okay. And there was tax system also which was undergoing during the Maratha rule. Like Takoli was a tax which was known as the annual zamindari tax. Sayar was the import tax. Kalali was the excise tax. Pandari, tax on non-farmers like potter, carpenter, they were who were not involved in the farmer thing but still they did something. So Pandari was their tax. There was Sevai also like temporary tax, etc., penalty and all. Then there was Zamindari tax imported carriage of grains. So if the import and export took place, there was tax on that also. And that is why due to this tax system and this introduction of Subedari and all, there was a lot of exploitation that took place, and that is the reason a lot of tribal revolts took place during this time, which I will be covering in a separate video. All the revolts that I talked about just which held during the time of Raghu Singh III and the others also, we will be studying them separately. So this was all about the Maratha rule in Chhattisgarh. And I remind you to download the Purvanchal IAS app. Just sit back at home, study, get the success. Thank you.